The sellers that are out there right now, they're motivated. They're pricing it competitively. They're staging it. They're getting it cleaned up. They're doing everything they can to get that house sold. And so this is a good time for you to really see the best case scenario of what a seller will do who's trying to get that. And then when the springtime comes, you'll be able to decipher that much more clearly which sellers are really motivated and which sellers are kind of like, kind of sort of want to sell my home, but not really. Because you've had experience touring and looking at the houses that are currently on the market, you'll be able to see which ones are really serious about getting that home sold, because it doesn't just take motivation on your end to make a real estate transaction happen. You also want to be working with them. Welcome to the Home Goals Podcast, the ultimate guide for turning your home goals into a reality. I'm your host, Derek Thornton. Join us as we navigate the twists and turns of obtaining a home. We'll be offering expert tips, helping you avoid pitfalls, and championing your journey towards that cherished place to call home. This week's episode, I want to talk to you all about a game plan for the home buyers who are preparing to purchase in the springtime. Now, some of you may be thinking, yes, this year has been gone really quickly, and it's already the end of October and things are moving along, but that doesn't mean that this isn't still a good time for you to start preparing for all the way in the future in the springtime. It will be here before you know it. I can promise you things are going to be moving quicker than ever before, and it's going to be right here. So if you are in the mindset or thinking about preparing to purchase in the spring, now is the time when you really need to start preparing yourself and getting ready. I've already started having conversations with some seller clients and people who are preparing to put their homes on the market. They're already getting in that mindset. And you as the buyer, even though you don't necessarily have a house that you may need to get ready at this time, if this is your first time jumping into the venture of home buying, this is still the time where you need to start getting in the process and preparing things so that when the springtime does hit, you're prepared, you're ready to go. The springtime is usually a popular time for everyone else to start purchasing homes as well too, and so you're obviously going to have a little more competition who's in the mix as well, and the more prepared you are, the better you're going to be in fighting against that competition and finding the house that is the best fit for you. And so I'm just going to go through just a couple of tips and things that I would suggest that you all do in the meantime. Prepare yourself as we're coming up on these next couple of holiday months and this season in time, right? So the biggest thing, and this is something you should be doing all along, but especially now, it's just coming up with a budget and a cash plan that you're following. We can really tend to go off the rails during this time of year when there's all kinds of, parties and white elephants and holiday giving, and, you got Christmas presents, especially for those of you out there who have kids, right? It's very easy to kind of go overboard in a sense, right? And kind of go completely off the rails and rack up a ton of debt and everything else as well. We've talked about in the past episodes, the credit card debt in this country is at an all-time high, and I'm sure it's going to be even worse coming up in this year ahead as well too. And so come up with a game plan ahead of time, right? You already know what things, if your kids are anything like mine, if you have kids, I'm sure they've already started telling you things that they want, right? So you need to start preparing. Like, what's within your budget, what's outside of your budget. Start coming up with those plans as well so that you know exactly how much you want to spend. And it's not something that you just are walking into a store without a game plan and then just letting the aisles and the toys speak to you, right? That's not what we want to do. You want to go in with a detailed attack and a game plan for exactly what you're going to get, trying to make sure that you can time the sales as well. Right, there's Black Friday sales, all these different things that are coming up within the next month or so. And if you could try to time that to use it and leverage yourself to be able to get the gifts that you want ahead of time, that can be a huge savings to you as well, right? And so go ahead and come up with the plan for exactly how much you want to spend, and don't go outside of that plan. Because I guarantee you, the second you say, hey, here's my budget, here's how much I'm going to spend, that's when you start getting all these invitations to parties and the office holiday luncheons, where they're like, hey, we're going to do these little fun little gifts, and hey, it's just $20 here and $20 there and $50 here and all these other things. Before you know it, you've gone way over your budget and all these extracurricular things that you weren't prepared to do. This is a time where you need to become very familiar with the word no. Let people know up front what you are and are not willing to do during this time. And don't have those things, because again, it's very easy for you to, in the grand scheme of things, to say, hey, is that $20 gift really going to have a impact on my home buying plan? In a vacuum, no. But when you have all the other things that are happening during this time of year, right? Not to mention unexpected expenses that come up. We're still in the midst of a government shutdown, right? Your car may break down. You might have an issue with your home, or not your home, but you're renting in that particular place, right? You might have something else that comes up where the kids get hurt, or something else may happen during this time that causes you to have issues that were unexpected. And you want to make sure that you are not pushing yourself to your limit and dipping into the funds that you set aside for that home buying process. If you can, I'd also see if you can automate savings, right? So now this is used a little bit later in the year at this point, but the credit union that I used to work for, they had these holiday savings accounts, right? Where you could, throughout the year, you could automate your savings and say like, hey, every month I want X amount to come out of my check or out of my direct deposit to go into this account to kind of save up and get those funds ready to go for when the Christmas holiday season comes. You've already got your lump sum available. Now, you could do a similar option, but just have it for your home purchase instead of your holiday savings or your holiday gifts, right? You can say, hey, for the next 6 months or so, I want to have an automated savings amount that has a certain amount of money that goes directly to it so that you never even see it. That's usually the best way, right? Once it hits your account and it's kind of mingled and comfortable with all of your other money, it's a lot more difficult for you to ignore it or say, hey, this is going to be set aside, right? If you could have something automated in place that immediately pushes that money over, that's a great thing to do during this time plan. Another thing that you can do during this holiday season is to do sort of what we call like a credit tune-up in a sense, right? Well, this is where you're pulling reports, making sure there's no errors or no issues. We talked about earlier in the year, there were a lot of people who realized that their student loans had come out of forbearance or out of deferment, and they didn't even realize it, and they were having their credit scores being negatively impacted because of those things, right? So this is a great time for you to find out if that's been happening to you, if that could be causing issues on your credit report, if there's any errors that you need to dispute. It's a lot easier to do it ahead of time, right? If you find out that there's an error on your credit report while you're under contract on a house, that can really cause issues, and that's not something that's typically resolved quickly, right? So it's better if you could handle those things or handle those errors or disputes now, and then when the springtime comes, you're ready to go. You got all that stuff set up, right? Also, again, avoid new holiday debt, right? Come up with a plan in place so that you're not racking up those credit cards or anything like that, trying to get the gifts and everything available. Make sure that you have all that in place. Set up a meeting with your realtor, set up a meeting with your lender, talk with both of them. One about just the home buying process and everything as well, but more importantly, talking to that lender. When you're doing that credit tune-up, have them pull your credit as if you were purchasing today and say, hey, what are the things that I need to work on specifically? I don't want you all wasting months of time fixing things that didn't necessarily need to be fixed or focusing on things that weren't of the utmost importance, right? You want to talk to that lender to know what are the things exactly that I need to be working on during this next 6 months or so that when the springtime rolls around, I've already got it all situated and ready to go. You want to try to have all set so that you are almost a step above being pre-approved at that point, right? Where they know this person is good to go. We're not going to have any surprises pop up once we get them under contract, but that they understand exactly where they're going. And more importantly, it's also great to talk with them because you can get a better idea of exactly how much money you need to have ready to make that home purchase, right? Like I said, a lot of times people try to guesstimate these figures on their own. They look at the Google and ChatGPT and all these other things to try to figure out exactly how much money they need. And there's a lot of factors that you may not know. Like ChatGPT doesn't know your exact credit score. They may not know exactly all the other features and things going into the houses that you're looking to purchase, the areas that you're purchasing. Your lender is going to be able to give you the best idea of what kind of funds you need to have available to make that purchase happen, right? So you're doing all of that, the tune up, figuring out what you need to get it pre-approved. Those are all great things to start now. Not in January, not in February, a couple months before you want to purchase. Start that now. That way you can already hit the ground running once you're ready to make that purchase. This is also a great time for you to leverage the holiday season. Figure a lot of people are going to be giving gifts and stuff. This is one of the best times of year for you to declutter, right? See if there's things around the house that you're not using that could be a gift for someone else, right? You want to be able to use that and make some funds off of that. My wife and I, we purchased a few of our Halloween costumes off of Facebook Marketplace and other areas, right? That people were just getting rid of it, right? You don't know what all you may have in your house that could be potential money for you, right? Start looking around, seeing the things you're not using, things that could be a way for you to kind of get some funds quickly that you can also put together as well. Also, it's the added benefit too of less stuff that you have to move when you're ready to make that purchase, right? If you've already gone through the process of decluttering, you have less stuff, more money in your pockets. This is one of the best times of year to do that, right? Get those cash as well. Also, you want to start gathering all of those documents that are going to be requested. And this is going to be something that comes up in the conversation that you have with the lender. But, you know, your W-2s, your 1099s, pay stubs, employee letters, all those things that typically you're scrambling to find, you can start preparing them and having them ready to go. And also that's going to give you the added benefit of being that much more prepared to file your taxes as soon as the new year starts as well too, because that could be something that could take time. You want to have it all set to go so that as soon as you get those tax forms in, those W-2s, those 1099s, whatever it may be, as soon as you get those documents in, you can file those taxes quickly and be able to move forward on that, because most lenders are going to need that documentation. They're going to need that paperwork in order to make that purchase or in order for you to qualify for that particular home, right? So you want to have that in place. And if you get a refund or something like that too, you would also rather have that sooner rather than later so that you're ready to pull the trigger that much faster on that home purchase. Another thing you can do during this time is you can do some just additional research in learning more about the areas, right? Drive to your target areas at different times of the day, just learning more about what is most important to you, what your commute time is going to be looking like, what things are most important to you about the houses that you're searching for. And part of this is just looking at the different search apps to see like different homes that are out there. I just had a buyer the other day who was texting me about houses that had been on the market for a really long time. They aren't ready to purchase right now, but they were still just reaching out to kind of get some advice on just like, hey, if we were in the market, why is this house sitting so long? Are there things that we need to be keeping in mind? Would this be something that would be a good option if we were looking? Just so they can get more in the headspace of understanding what type of homes are the best options for them, right? And so like when they are ready to make the move, I know they're going to be far more prepared than many of the other buyer clients I typically work with, because they already have a clear understanding of what it is they want and which homes and properties are going to be most appealing to them before they even set foot throughout that door. All that information they're trying to learn. Attend open houses. This is a time of year where the people who are selling right now, they're more often than not, they're selling because they need to sell. No one just up and decides to move for the fun of it during the holiday season, right? The people who have their home on the market right now, they are motivated. They're trying to get their home sold. And so this is an opportunity for you to be able to see what they're doing to entice potential buyers, what they're doing for potential homes that are out there as well. You're not going to see a lot of properties that are just a mess and the seller's not really trying. Like the sellers that are out there right now, they're motivated. They're pricing it competitively. They're staging it. They're getting it cleaned up. They're doing everything they can to get that house sold. And so this is a good time for you to really see the kind of the best case scenario of what a seller will do who's trying to get that. And then when the springtime comes, you'll be able to decipher that much more clearly which sellers are really motivated and which sellers are kind of like, kind of sort of want to sell my home, but not really. Because you've had experience touring and looking at the houses that are currently on the market, you'll be able to see which ones are really serious about getting that home sold, because it doesn't just take motivation on your end to make a real estate transaction happen. You also want to be working with a motivated seller as well, right? Because again, there's a lot of other factors and variables that go into the home search process, and there are a few things more frustrating from a buyer standpoint than working with a seller who doesn't really need to sell or who doesn't even really want to sell, right? And so if you're looking at properties right now, you will be able to pick out the sellers who are truly motivated to get their home sold, and that'll make it that much easier for you to point out those properties once the springtime rolls around. And then lastly, you want to focus on just the logistics, right? The practical steps. When does my lease end, my rental lease? What are there month-to-month options that are in place? Most leases, they usually require a 60-day notice in order for you to terminate that lease, right? So if you're planning on ending a lease earlier, or if you don't want to renew that lease, you need to know ahead of that time what your timeline is going to look like, right? What's the average timeline that most buyers are looking at homes? What's the average timeline for the property to actually close once it's under contract? How do you get those timelines to match up with your lease in the way that best makes sense? It's usually great for you to talk to your realtor to get a better understanding of that timeline and how it works out. But you want to do that ahead of time, right? You don't want to wait until that 60-day timeline is happening next week, and then you're scrambling to figure out, okay, are we actually doing this? Are we going to hold out for another year? Do we even have a month-to-month option if we wanted to go that route? You want to know all those things well in advance, right? You do not want to push a decision that important or that stressful until the last minute, right? You want to have a clear game plan going into it, and also understanding what your lease says, what your landlord is likely willing to do. All of that needs to be determined ahead of time. If you do have children, how does the school calendar match up, right? Where is this something where like, hey, we're going to be moving to a different area, a different school district? Do we need to figure out, okay, what type of school, what is the process for getting them enrolled into those new schools? If it's a preschool or something that has or a charter school that has a long wait list, all of that needs to be factored in as well. What happens if they don't get in? All of these things are better determined well in advance of you actually making that home purchase decision, right? Because again, you don't want to put yourself in a corner where you're having to make very important decisions the flip of a dime, right? You want to make sure that you have everything in place. And so all of those things you want to discover. Moving quotes. Do you want to get someone to help you move? I'm 37 years old. I have no interest in helping my friends move anymore. Those days are behind me, right? And so if you are looking to move and you're going to consider like, hey, I might want to get some hired help, you want to get some quotes on what it's going to cost for you to make that move so that you have as clear an idea as possible of what it's going to truly cost for you to make that move when it's time, so that there's no surprises, there's no things that are left unchecked. You understand every step of the way. And so if nothing else, I hope that you got from this episode, get prepared now. If you're considering buying in the spring, now is when you need to start preparing, right? Well, 4, 5, 6 months in advance, giving yourself ample time to come up with a game plan, get your credit checked, all these different things you want to have in place so that you can truly hit the ground running when it's time for you to make that purchase. So I hope that this is helpful for y'all. If you ever need any help or assistance, I'm always here to be a resource for you in any way that I can. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you next week.